right, so today I have some really cool insurance tips that honestly they're gonna blow your mind, and it's gonna teach you how you can protect your car rental business like a pro. Really, it's a lot of things that I wish that I knew about when I was starting, because there are so many videos out there where they'll teach you about, oh, if your car gets into a wreck, here's how you file the claim, here's how you do everything. But none of the videos go into depth for here's how you can actually get the money that you deserve when there is an accident. Hey, it's Peter with Car Rental Coach. If you're looking to boost your Airbnb profits or build a car rental fleet like we have, this is definitely the channel for you. So make sure that you click on the little bell below to make sure that you don't miss any videos, and also subscribe, because that's another way to make sure you don't miss any videos. And the big thing is that we work with clients on a consistent basis to really help them build passive income through rental cars. And the big thing, if you think that you're qualified to work with us, then I want you to go to carrentalcoach.com, fill out the little 60-second survey, see if you qualify to work with us. Now, as soon as you fill out the survey, it'll tell you if you do or you don't. If you do, then you actually get to schedule a call with either me or my business partner, George, and we'll see if there's a way that we can help you really build that passive income and get your business off the ground. All right, so the big thing I want to talk about today is gap insurance. Gap insurance stands for Guaranteed Auto Protection. I guess the easiest way to explain this to you guys is to give you an example kind of what it would look like. So let's say that you go out and you buy a $20,000 car, and this car's financed. So you went, let's say you put 0% down, just to make the example easy. 0% down, finance the complete $20,000. Unfortunately, renters out and about, they hit a pole, somebody hits them, car is completely totaled. So you go to your insurance company and you're like, hey, my car was totaled, I want to make sure it's covered. Insurance company, they look at your car and they do their research, look at comparables, see what other cars sell for. And they're like, well, Peter, your car is worth $18,000. That's what we're willing to give you. I look at it, I'm like, wait a minute. I paid $20,000 for this car. How come you're only going to give me $18,000? And again, coming from me, I've gone through this. They break it down for you line by line. They're like, well, this car sold in Ohio. This car sold in Pennsylvania. This car sold in Maryland. They'll give you like 50 other cars saying exactly what they sold for to justify why they're giving you that certain amount. Now, just like I said, the problem is I paid $20,000 for the car and it's completely financed. So I don't want it to be where they only give me $18,000 and then I have to make payments for a few months even though I don't have the revenue that's coming in from that car. This is where gap insurance comes into play. So basically what gap insurance is going to do is it's going to cover the difference from that $18,000 to the $20,000. So gap insurance is going to look at your claim, they're going to determine to say if you're eligible, and then they're actually going to give you that $2,000 difference so you can finish paying off your loan and then you don't have to worry about it. Now, a little tidbit and kind of a story that I want to share that relates to this whole gap insurance, because I literally just went through it a couple weeks ago. Very similar to that example. I had a car that I got. It was specifically a 2022 Mitsubishi Mirage. It was around $20,000 right on the dot for the car. The insurance company gave us $17,000 and the gap insurance was supposed to cover that other $3,000. So the insurance company, they sent the money, they did everything. The gap insurance literally contacts me months later and they're like, hey, we actually never sent the money for this because we don't have a police report or not. And so I called the gap rep and I'm like, okay, so you're saying you need a police report. Like, the insurance company didn't find one. What do you want me to do? The one rep tells me, he's like, oh, so you actually need to write on a piece of paper that you can't find a police report and send that into us. So I write that down, piece of paper, no police report, sign my name on it, send it over to him. See, now this is where, and we're going to make a whole nother video on this, it's super important to get a rep that knows what they're talking about, whether if it's gap insurance, whether if it's Turo, whether if it's Get Around, any of these companies that you're working with, you don't want to deal with an inexperienced rep, and this is exactly the reason. So the next woman that I get on the phone with, she looks at that piece of paper and she's like, hey, look, I'm going to be honest with you. Actually, she told me two things. She's like, thing number one, the gap insurance won't accept this piece of paper. They want you to write that there is no police report, not that you can't find a police report. And she broke it down to me. She said the reason why they want you to write down that there is no police report, because then if the gap insurance goes and discovers a police report and finds one, then they can tell you that there is a police report, you lied, now we don't have to pay you. And they could potentially go after you for insurance fraud. That's the big thing that she told me. So to solve that problem, and this is why we're such a big advocate for trackers, the tracker that I had on the car, it showed me exactly where the car got into an accident, which was specifically in New York. So I was able to look in New York, look at the county to see where the car got into the accident. Then I was able to look up what police department handles this county. I called that police department, say, hey, is there a police report? Boom, they sent me the police report. Now the gap can actually cover the insurance claim. So that was the first thing that she told me. The second big thing that she told me, which I was really adamant about this when I was getting gap insurance, she's like, oh yeah, she's like, actually, most gap insurance don't cover car sharing. Like, that's just the way that it is. So I don't think this is gonna cover, and this call's recorded, so they would actually go back and look at it. And I was like, wait, I don't know about that. When I started, I really looked into this and I asked every salesperson, I only want gap insurance that covers car sharing. So I had her on the phone because I knew it was recorded. Look at the agreement to see. I told her, I want you to show me exactly where it says that car sharing is exempt from gap insurance. It was specifically not on my agreement. And I knew that because when I bought the car, I asked every salesperson, I only want gap insurance where it's covered. So the other big lesson from this is if you are gonna finance a car, make sure that you go to whoever the salesperson is, used car salesperson, new car salesperson, and tell them, hey, look, I only want gap that covers car sharing. Because if my gap insurance wouldn't have covered the car sharing, it could have been exempt right there, and I would have been liable to pay off that $3,000 loan, even though I wouldn't have the revenue that was coming in from that car that would not only pay for the loan, but normally it would give me profit on a consistent basis. There are three big takeaways. First one, you know what gap insurance is. The second thing, when you have gap insurance, always make sure that you find the police report. Because writing on there is no police report. I mean, we're in 2023. How often does a car crash and there's no police report, unless there's a hit and run, which nobody wants to deal with that. But a rep that knows what they're talking about, so they can help you get exactly to where you want to go for the insurance. All right, so the next big thing I want to talk about for insurance, well, we're going to talk about two things, but the first one is a diminished value claim. And kind of to give the same example that works, let's say that you have a $20,000 car. Car's out with a renter's having a great time, driving along the beach, they park the car, somebody backs into it, gives it a little fender bender. You have to go and get $2,000 worth of damages on the car. What a diminished value insurance claim is that, and what we always try to do is get the renter's insurance because then it'll pay for it as opposed to your own insurance. So see if you could get the renter's insurance, file a diminished value claim. What that says is that, hey, look, this person crashed into my $20,000 car. I had to get $2,000 worth of damages. Now this car is no longer worth $20,000. Now the car is only worth $18,000. So what the diminished value claim does is that it's basically telling the insurance company that since the perceived value of this car is going to be $2,000 less, you should give me that $2,000 due to the fact that this renter crashed the car and made that happen. That's why I'm saying this is something that you specifically get from the renter's insurance. And we'll have another video about this, but when people do crash cars, we all know that Turo, they do cover cars when they're under a renter. But what's even better is that if you can get the renter's insurance to cover it, because then you have access to a couple more of these claims that Turo doesn't cover. And on the same topic, another thing I want to talk about is loss income, which this is basically another type of claim that you can go after. So let's say that you're renting a car out for $100 a day, right? Somebody crashes your car, and now that car cannot be rented for, say for you to get it fixed and everything, it's gonna take 20 days before the car can be back out and rented. So what you do for lost income, you file that and say, I would have made $2,000 if that car would have been rented for 20 days. So what happens is that the renter's insurance will pay you that $2,000 because of loss of income. Now, another thing I want to go over is in reference to Turo. Turo actually will cover loss of income, and there's some pros and cons of this. They only do it on the least beneficial plan to us as host. So the least beneficial plan is the 60-40 plan where you get to keep 60% of your revenue. Turo takes the other 40%. On that plan, they will cover loss of income when somebody crashes the car, but as we've kind of looked at it here, it just doesn't make sense to do with all of your cars to consistently collect less money when there aren't a ton of accidents that happen with the car. Now, it's one thing if you had one car and one car would get into an accident once a month, but it's not that frequent when you don't have that many cars. So really the big reason for me going over this stuff is because I had to make a lot of mistakes when it comes to missing out on these type of insurance claims. That's why I'm letting you know, so you don't have to miss out on the money that you can get from it, whether if it's from gap insurance, whether if it's from the diminished value, whether if it's from loss of income. There's money that you can get where when I started, I missed out on that money, especially with loss of income and with the diminished value. That was something where I missed out on a lot of money. It was my business partner that told me about that. Otherwise, I wouldn't even know about it to tell you guys. So please take these, use it in your business. Hopefully you can gain a couple $1,000 from it and it helps you guys in the future. So really the big thing again, if you don't want to have to worry about all these things and you want to work directly with us, I want you to go to carrentalcoach.com, fill out that 60-second survey. If you're qualified to work with us, on the next page, it'll have it where you can schedule a call with me and George. We'll actually go through your needs, figure out if there's a way that we can help you, and then we're gonna point you in the right direction because I want you to do well, whether regardless of what you think that you want. So yeah, that's basically it. Make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell to make sure you don't miss any of our videos.